Hi, my name's Tony Chapman. I'm the host of Chatter That Matters. In this age of noise, I cut through the chaos and confusion to focus on what matters most to your life and your livelihood. And on this episode, I chat with
Lisa Taylor, founder and CEO of The Challenge Factory. If you've been following my Small Business Matters podcast, you'll know that Lisa was featured in one of the episodes. Extraordinary entrepreneur, but what I particularly liked is how she had the courage to leave an extraordinary career where she managed over 100 people to pursue her passion of really understanding what are the dynamics going forward in terms of how people are going to get the kind of work that makes them feel special, that gives them purpose, that gives them opportunity. Lisa, welcome to Chatter That Matters.
Thanks, Tony. It's great to be here.
So tell me a little bit about what the Challenge Factory does.
Sure. So Challenge Factory is a research and consulting firm that tracks the trends of what's happening in the world of work and helps organizations, policymakers, individual Canadians make sense of that for themselves. And so one of the things that's really important to us is in tracking the future of work or changes in the world of work, we focus on what human beings are doing as opposed to what technology can provide. So we're very much focused on humanity in the workplace and how that's changing over time.
A lot of what I read about the future of work was really the future of no work. Automation, AI, machine learning, every job was being threatened. So it was technology, which used to be an incredible enabler of humans. You could say it's, in some ways, it's becoming a disabler. So how are you countering that with the kind of work you're doing?
It's really interesting that most of the time, if you go to a conference or you pick up a paper or something that's titled The Future of Work, it'll have, 10 trends or something like that. And at least 8, if not all 10, will be talking about technologies. And in our work, what's really important to recognize is if you want to talk about technology in the workplace, that's great. But if you want to talk about the future of work, you have to be talking about, so what are people going to be doing? And just because technology is coming in and displacing in certain jobs or automation doesn't mean there's no work for human beings to continue to do. It means we need to unleash new creativity to figure out, okay, if those routine problems are now being solved, what else could we accomplish if we harness the potential of the people that are in that region, in that sector, in that industry to solve different types of problems that we don't have technological solutions for?
How do you get organizations to come to terms with finding that courage and conviction to say, we must be on the move, and even though things are good today, this is the time to make those decisions?
It's already happening. So organizations don't actually have a whole lot of choice. They're already seeing the cracks and symptoms that things related to their workforce, their talent management systems, the way that they look at who's working inside of the organization is not behaving the way that it used to. So when we are working inside of organizations, what we're able to do is look at their workforce and show them where are there already cracks? What is it that's impacting work becoming harder to do? Or for example, challenges in recruitment and finding talent. And the origin is not technology. The origin is demographic change, is a shift in career ownership, is a rise in the freelance and gig economy. There's other things and technology that are contributing to why talent systems, even before COVID, weren't behaving the way that they were supposed to, quote unquote, or the way that they had worked 15 years ago or 20 years ago.
So you do a lot of work with sort of applying these scientific principles and do organizations buy into it? Because what I always hear about is, from a consulting point of view, is everybody has a process. How do you demonstrate that yours works?
One of the really interesting things about what's happening when we talk about the future of work is that it's really not about the process or the 6 steps or the 9 boxes. What's important is that the organization knows, what do we want our workforce to look like? And that's a hard question to ask. We get all caught up in the everyday details. But when we turn it around, I learned this from colleagues of mine at a great organization called Creative Connection. When we turn the question around, and if I were to ask you, what do you want the world of work to look like for your children? All of a sudden, there's all kinds of ideas that start to flow of what you do and don't want to have as culture, as the type of work, as the way they engage with their colleagues. So if we can get at answering, what's the future of work at XYZ company, and would you be happy if your children were working in that environment? and then pull those criteria back and use that as your framework for what you want to be striving for and working towards. It doesn't matter if that model is the same for the next company and the next company. It's true to your own values, and it's something that everyone can get behind, because that actually is moving yourself forward in a way that feels like you're leaving a legacy.
So I'm seeing around the world now, we're either going to have to write a new social contract with our environment, with each other and humanity, because it just seems to be a lot of unrest. People don't like standing on shifting sand. They want change. And when I look at the world going forward for leaders, I have to think that the key attribute down the world won't be vision or won't be strategy. It's going to be this sense of, can I build trust with my stakeholders? Can I build trust with my employees, my investors, my customers? Does that factor into the future work in terms of the type of people we'll be looking for compared to before COVID?
I think one of the pieces that's gone by the wayside, that has quietly slipped away, but people feel it, is we've lost, I'm going to call it our rituals. We've lost those things that take place that help us know how we mark our day, how we mark our milestones, how we mark our sales celebrations, all of the little bits and pieces that give us indications of this is the way we come together as a team. I think, when you're talking about trust within leadership, those things get built up by your own credibility, by your own personality, by your own commitment to your staff, but also in how do you demonstrate that? And I think what leaders need to really focus on is, how do we replace some of those rituals? How do we replace some of those events and activities so that our staff still feel like one company? We're still in business. We want our staff to keep working. And therefore, how do we continue to measure and monitor all of those celebratory elements and year-long elements that normally would be in our business?
I'm going to put you on the spot now. Describe the perfect client for the Challenge Factory.
The perfect client for Challenge Factory is someone who's inside of an organization who knows they want to do something different, but feels like a bit of a lone wolf. They've been given a mandate to really shake up and change their organization to help their people achieve more. But when they look around the rest of the leadership team, or they look around the rest of the organization, they realize that there's a lot of traditional views, culture, and impacts that they need to overcome. And they want a partner so that they don't feel alone in completely transforming the world of work from the way it used to be inside of that organization to what it needs to be so that their workforce continues to be a competitive advantage.
So I've been speaking with Lisa Taylor. She's the founder and CEO of the Challenge Factory. She's one of the featured entrepreneurs on the Small Business Matters podcast series that we did with RB State. I learned 3 things today. First of all, this is a quest. This isn't a moment in time. This is a quest. And the quest really involves understanding where you're going, who you're going with. Second thing that she talked about is, when we talk future of work, it's not technology. It's not real estate. Where are people going to work and how they're going to work? It's humanity. It's our head, heart, and hands. How people think, how people feel, and how people act. And the final thing, which is a testament to all the leaders that are listening out here, is that trust is everything. And trust has to be built one moment at a time. Trust has to be built by, if you can't celebrate a culture together, if you can't celebrate through traditional rituals, then you have to find new ways, because meaning and purpose and mattering and all the elements that make humans' eyes shine and walk with a skip and a step, they're still thirsty for it. So that more than ever, the future work is going to depend on leaders like you and, of course, talent like Lisa Taylor. Lisa Taylor, thank you for joining Chatter That Matters.
My pleasure.